something or rather like tomorrow morning when we get up.
Yeah, so the whole season kicks off tomorrow. And then, it's weird because I think tomorrow is some individual play thing that you have to do to finish off the season. So I don't know how they're going to do it. But yeah, I mean, it's Fortnite, and this will be the beginning, apparently, of the DC, the crossover that we talked about last week, right? The Infinite Front, or no, 0 Point, Batman 0 Point.
0 Point.
Yeah.
All right, we're just talking. So we're geeking out about some Fortnite, folks. What's up?
Welcome, hey guys.
To the Sidekick Show.
Hello, Scott.
Monday
be careful.
Night at 8 p.m. Yes.
Look at this. Scott's driving home in the freezing rain. Yeesh.
It's freezing rain. Is that cold over in Chicago? Or
it's always cold in Chicago. It is called the Windy City,
yeah?
So I think anytime it rains, it's freezing. I could be wrong. Yeah, it's Monday. Hey, John.
Hey.
I feel like I haven't seen you in the last couple of hours.
Yeah, we did. If you guys follow us on YouTube, you got that notification randomly this morning. We did we know we link like and subscribe. We did a random reaction to the final Falcon and Winter Soldier trailer, which looked pretty good. I'm pretty impressed. And did we do last night? Was last night when we did the Snyder Cut final trailer reaction as well?
Yeah, because we recorded the main show yesterday morning, and then we had the Snyder Cut drop that 2.5 minute trailer last night. So yeah, it's been a lot.
yeah. We were like, let's start trying this reaction thing, and then we chose to do it like right when they dropped like 1 million of these trailers. So hopefully you guys don't mind. We had a lot of fun with it. So hopefully people find it entertaining.
Yeah, and I think it's something that we talked about and we might kind of continue doing is, when you get these big, trailers or announcements or whatever, we might just do quick, 15 minute little hits. So if people like it, then make sure you've subscribed to the channel so you get the notification, and then you can, you get the notes, because we're pretty on top of some of the stuff. So usually John and I are messaging each other as soon as it drops in the news.
Yeah. I'm like, can Rob hold off watching it? So I was very impressed that you were able to wait till after dinner to watch that Snyder trailer. So if you people haven't checked it out, I don't think you have to, because I think you're going to watch it this week. But overall, it was a pretty cool trailer.
I think that trailer sold a lot of people on wanting to now invest 4 hours of their time this weekend to watch this movie, and I think that's a pretty big ask, right? 4 hours. So
yeah, I'm trying to schedule it now. I think I'm gonna have to break it in half. I'm gonna have to do 2 hours, maybe one night, and another 2 hours the next night. But we're in a special situation where we want to try and watch it before Sunday morning comes around, so we can do some coverage on it. Whereas other people will be able to space it around. I guess it's good that it's not a rental, so you don't have 48 hours to accomplish this 4-hour monstrosity, right, unless you want to re-up and re-ante up, I guess.
Yeah, I have heard though that people who've said
go and take the Friday off.
There you go. I wish I was I thought
you were gonna do it. I totally thought you were gonna do it. I'm surprised.
You know what the problem is? My son wants to watch it, so if I take the Friday, I can't
go out of school. How cool is that? How many stories do you have back in the day when you skipped school to watch movie with your family or something like that? That's
none.
Cool. Oh, see, exactly. Now you're gonna rob your children of that memory as well.
Yes.
Jesus, Rob.
Yes, I will.
Okay. Well, my daughter does online, so I can catch her up easily. So I feel like you should be able to accomplish the same thing.
I think it is, again, it is a big ask, for people to be able to want to do it. And I got the sense from our chats in the last couple of weeks that people who've been participating in the show have been kind of, I'm going to watch it. I know Fraser's not watching it, but a lot of people are like, I'm going to watch it. But now I feel like there's a lot of excitement and anticipation after seeing, especially that trailer. And as we talked about last night on the reveal, the embargo had lifted, and there are a lot of reviews that have been coming out that are very positive. And you sent me a funny message today, and you said you were like, you couldn't believe the amount of reviews that are now like exploding. More people have been seeing it. I'm not sure how they're seeing it so early. And
Yeah.
you said
There's a couple of popular YouTubers, like faces, like actual known YouTubers that, like, if they did a kind of like bought off review, kind of, I don't think they could do it because it would damage their reputation as a YouTuber. So it looks pretty promising.
Well, your comment though was funny. You
Yeah.
said that not even Wonder Woman could have bought this amount of positive reviews, and I was just like killing myself laughing. So
yeah. The Wonder Woman reviews were kind of like the ones that came out positive. They kind of like made it a little vague, so
you had
they
to
didn't,
wonder.
like, I guess, straight up lie
Yeah.
to your face. But I feel like it definitely had some kind of like fluffy reviews put out there before it dropped in. And it's pretty cool. So let's stop talking about that trailer. Let's jump on to should we hit some new releases here?
Yeah, tell us what you got in the new releases.
Yeah, let me start out with the new releases. I'm going to keep it light because we got a lot going on today. So let me hit up what I thought would be a good idea. So Justice League 59, I've mentioned this before. This is the new Brian Michael Bendis Justice League book that they're revealing this new team. You can kind of see who's on the team, though, if you look at the shadows. And then they have an alternate cover which features all the characters, and one of those characters is Black Adam.
Right.
And this book is going to feature the Snyder Cut covers. So there's 3 different covers, as well as there's black and white and different color tone versions of these. So we will have these in store, in theory, if nothing goes wrong with shipping, this Wednesday. So if you are interested in these, hit us up or hit up your local shop. I think they look pretty cool. And another thing that we were discussing on the podcast was this Earth 1 box set is coming out.
Oh, nice.
Which features, I think, Superman and Wonder Woman, and looks like, is that Batman? I think it's Batman.
Like
yeah,
Batman,
the Batman Earth 1 series, which are really fun reads. They take place on Earth 1, which is an alternate continuity. So if you don't really follow a lot of comics, I think it's a really good way to kind of get in on it and have something fun to enjoy. And then we also do have a lot of the DC, I think it's called DC New Frontier, or it's called something Frontier.
New Frontier, I think.
Yeah, New Frontier. So a lot of those books, which are the books after the Future State events, are starting. They started last week with Batman, and now there's more coming this week. Catwoman, Nightwing, which I'm looking forward to, and things like that. And I'm trying to think if there's any Marvel stuff. There is a Thor 13 coming out, which is a big deal, and a whole bunch of trade paperbacks. So there's a new Daredevil hardcover. We are getting another omnibus, which is where did it go? Tony Stark Iron Man by Dan Slott omnibus. So if you dig collecting omnibuses, we've been getting a lot of them lately. We just got the Fantastic Four one the week before. We did get the Chris Claremont Volume 2 omnibus for X-Men stuff. So if you like old school X-Men stuff, and I think that's it that I want to talk to about new releases, because we got a lot of other stuff to hit. Rob, I don't know if you want to mention any news, or the fact that there's no news.
Yeah, well, there were some news hits, but nothing of real consequence that we really need to get over. I mean, the Academy Awards were today, John, and Chadwick Boseman was given a posthumous. Was nominated posthumously for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which is on Netflix. So. And some other big high profile Stephen Yeun from you remember from The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
He was nominated for a Best Actor. I think he's the first Asian American to be nominated for a Best Actor. And Riz Ahmed, who many people might remember from Rogue One, he's the first Muslim-born actor to have been nominated for a Best Actor for The Sound of Metal, which is a big. Stu's been talking about that. So. I mean, those are some big things that came out today in terms of the geekery and the stuff that we talk about, the movies and comic books. There's really nothing much. This week is an echo chamber of everything that's been going on. We have the Justice League Snyder Cut coming out Thursday. We have the Falcon and the Winter Soldier coming out Friday. And then next week we have 3 hours of Invincible coming out. So I think we're good to just talk about, to kind of move on to our big topic for tonight, because I think it's going to definitely, obviously, segue into what's happening on Thursday. And that's this bad boy
that you own on Blu-ray.
It's 3D Blu-ray, buddy.
And you probably are now going to say is a dumpster fire, but you own it on 3D. This is probably the most expensive version, other than maybe the 4K version. Maybe that's a little more expensive, made one, actually, or harder to find. But yeah, folks, we're here to talk about Justice League, the original theatrical cut, as the final movie leading into the Zack Snyder Justice League.
He's even calling
Thursday.
Scott now.
Yeah, I know. Frick, Scott, man. I miss you, buddy. Hopefully he's driving home safe. Scott Snyder. No, but hey, to my okay, whatever. Anyway, there's no excuse.
To your defense,
so, yeah,
Scott Snyder did write the Justice League comic book, if that's what you're trying to say. Yes.
I'll try and work. Sarah says snot Snyder.
That's Amazon, Fraser.
Yeah, Invincible. Fraser's asking where he's going to be able to catch Invincible. So let's. Are we diving straight into Justice League? Do we want to warm it up with anything?
No, the last thing I want to say is that Gordon's right. The Stand looks promising. That's
based on a book, right?
Yeah, Stephen King. You'd call him Stefan, but Stephen King book. Yeah, it's coming out. It's been in the U.S. for the last few months. It's actually hitting Prime on Friday as well. So that's why Gordon took Friday off. He's got 4 hours of Justice League. He's got an hour of The Stand and an hour of Winter Soldier. So that's why he took Friday off. So let's talk about Justice League. Listen, John, we could go in. Did you pull any stats on this at all or no?
Yeah. Okay, so we'll do the rundown. So Justice League dropped back in November 2017. It's actually not that long ago when you kind of think about it. I thought it was a little bit older. I thought it was almost 4+ years old. It's about 4 years. I thought it was more for some reason. Yeah, the budget was $300 million. The box office was $657.9 million. Mm-hmm. And I've got a couple sentence summary from Netflix. So let's read this off and see how this one stands up. So Batman assembles a brand of fellow superheroes, including Wonder Woman, Aquaman, The Flash, and Cyborg, to defeat the most formidable enemies yet. They're the ultimate superhuman dream team, but saving the planet from this threat may be a tall order, even for them. So no mention of Superman in the summary. I didn't see. So I don't know if they were trying to keep it a secret.
Well, that was a funny thing. If you remember the marketing for this, they did everything they could to say that Superman wasn't going to be part of it. And yet then they started releasing out posters, and it was like, you don't stand alone. And then they would have everybody's symbol, like their glyphs, but they would always use the Superman one for stand. And then during one of the Comic Cons, Jason Momoa was signing something, and one of the fans asked him, he's a little kid, said, is Superman really dead? And he nodded yes, and the kid starts breaking down. He's like, no, it's okay. So it was like the worst kept secret. That's like the tip of the iceberg about this whole entire production. I was actually interested to find out that $300 million production cost that you mentioned, did that include the reshoots that Joss Whedon had done?
I have no idea. I couldn't find specifics on it. I'm sure someone can pop that up on some quick internet research. Okay. But I noticed that the Justice League Snyder Cut has a completely separate budget, and it says only 70 mil. So it's not even taking into account this budget in this movie, which is kind of funny. So we have starring in this one. So let's the title billing. We have Ben Affleck back as Batman, or as Scott refers to him, the fat man suit or whatever, which you really do notice in this one. Just the design of it. I wouldn't say anything to Ben Affleck, although he does look different in this. Henry Cavill is back as Superman. Obviously, I don't know why they would even try to hide that. Amy Adams, Gal Gadot, Ezra Miller, Jason Momoa, Ray Fisher, Jeremy Irons returns as Alfred, our guy, Diane Lane as Ma Kent, J.K. Simmons in a very underutilized Commissioner Gordon, Connie Nelson as Hippolyta, I think, Wonder Woman's mother, and I can't get this. Kyran Hines as
Ciaran. What's his name? Ciaran Hines.
Ciaran Hines. Yeah, as Steppenwolf.
No, Steppen.
I know. I like Steppen better.
Okay.
I think we should change it. And it currently sits at a 40% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I was actually surprised. I actually thought it was going to be lower than that.
Yeah, that is a bit surprising.
Yeah, so should we dive right into it?
Well, listen, I don't really want to hash out everything as to why we talked about this ad nauseum as to why Joss Whedon stepped in. It was a tragedy on Zack Snyder's part. We talked a bit about this in the podcast last week as to why he took over. And I'm looking for. I've been actually really looking forward to discussing this movie, especially these last few days, because I think as we get into it, I have some ideas on what I want to see or what I anticipate seeing in the Snyder Cut. But let's get into it, John. Last week we talked about not doing things in order. I think the only proper way, though, to do it for this movie is to start at the very start of this movie, in that opening scene of Superman being filmed on the Super 8 by the kids, which is, it's cute. And then you see how bad the CGI is hiding his mustache. And you're just oh my God.
Like, why would you? I'm sure they saw it after, like, they must have seen it. Whoever was in charge, I'm sure Joss must have seen it, and other execs must have seen it and known it didn't look good. And to proceed to open the movie with the worst shot you could ever imagine. And I feel like even when I was watching it, okay, we'll talk more about that scene, but I'm going to give my overall thoughts on this.
Sure. Yeah.
So overall thoughts, when I originally saw it in the theaters, I thought it was not bad. I laughed at the jokes and that kind of stuff. But now upon the rewatch, I can see how I think some people have posted that they actually didn't mind this. And I can see how that happened. Like it's very good at kind of pulling the wool or kind of like what distraction, theatrical distraction, kind of like
sleight of
bang,
hand.
all this stuff is like a sleight of hand, to kind of trick you into thinking this is actually all right. But upon the rewatch, wow, there's a lot. I don't know.
There's a lot wrong with this movie.
Yeah. There's a lot going on, and you're just like, what the heck? So,
I agree. When I went, I saw this. How many times did you see it in the theater?
I saw it once, so I haven't seen this movie in its entirety since November 2017.
Okay, so I saw the movie twice in the theater. I might have gone 3 times. I don't remember. It's quite possible. Listen. And for those who don't remember, the reason why they had to CGI Henry Cavill's face was because at the time he was filming Mission Impossible Fallout, and he had that mustache and goatee. Paramount wouldn't let him shave it, even though Warner said
it was a good look for him too in that movie.
And so they had to literally use gel to hold everything back to be able to do, and then put dots over his face to CGI. When your first shot is, when I'm sitting in the theater and I was resigned myself to the fact that, listen, I knew it wasn't going to be what we had saw in the original trailer that Zack Snyder had released about a year or so before in San Diego Comic-Con. And I resigned myself to the fact that, at least I get to see my heroes, no pun intended, up on the screen, because who would have ever thought that was actually going to happen? So I was kind of like, well, it's like,
and then you saw that Superman, and you're like, no, not like this, not like this.
But you know what? It's like listen, if you work in an office and you get an opportunity to go golfing from the day away from the office, and it's raining, and you're like, man. But you know what? Spending a rainy day in the golf course is way better than spending a day in the office. So my analogy is that at least we had something. As crappy as it was, at least it was something. And I tried to find a positive in it. And so I was resigned to say, okay, this is all we're going to get. Upon rewatching it, though, I'm just like, I feel hoodwinked. I'm like, man, how did I accept? As much as I wasn't a fan of certain things, how did I accept that? Okay, this is okay to watch.
How did you end up owning it on 3D Blu-ray? I'm surprised you don't have multiple copies, to be honest. But I remember when I originally saw it, even though I didn't mind the movie, when I saw that CGI lip, I knew instantly that I could not own it. I'm like, maybe like even in that first 10 15 minutes of the movie, in my head I was already like, unless they go back and fix this, there's no way I'm gonna buy this ever. And I even even there was a throwback to one of our podcasts where I talk about a Superman scene I liked, and I actually liked kind of his speech from the beginning. I got to take it all back. I think I got to go with the Man of Steel speech instead, when he's talking about his S and hope with in the interrogation room with Lois, because that was very it's very bad. Even the kids that are talking to him are poorly acted. So this is a very odd choice. And we'll get into it. Like in the whole movie, it does seem very hobbled. But I can see how if you were just kind of watching this and just maybe you had a couple drinks or or it's kind of on the couch and you're just hanging out with your friends or something, I could see that you could kind of enjoy this and go, oh, that was cool, that was cool, that was cool. But when you sit down and you're like, whoa, like, because I called Batman versus Superman a mess, but at least it has a vision that's consistent. And I guess we'll talk about Superman's portrayal, even his general portrayal, a little later. Sorry, Rob, I don't want to talk too much of you, so you can get in there.
No. I wanted to just say that, like, I remember like Scott, our friend Scott here had comments about how his kids were quite enjoying it, and it's not. I think it sums it up because the way that Joss Whedon filmed this, and I'm being very honest when I say that. Zach said that maybe 25% of what he shot ended up in this theatrical version. So I'm going to, for all accounts purposes, our friend Comic Book Craig always calls it the Justice League. But what Joss Whedon had filmed is very vibrant. Like, it's very colorful. It's very bright. It's completely antithetical to what we had in BVS. And it kind of has a little bit of a Batman 66 pop to it, the TV show.
It makes everything look really fake, like that first scene with Batman and he's catching that criminal. It looks like a really bad old set. Like,
well, it does, and you see the neon, you see the pink neon reflecting off of it, and it reminds me of one of your favorite movies that finally flipped was Batman and Robin. It reminds me of that style. Like that neon, colorful style. And so I understood when Scott said his kids were enjoying the movie. Yeah, it makes sense looking at it. I think it completely plays to a younger audience.
Yeah. So I'm going to dive in the comments a little bit here because everyone's starting to chime in. So Gordon does mention Aquaman and Flash were good comic relief in this movie. So I want to talk about Flash. So I'll just throw it in here since we're already talking. Rob, you're no stranger to saying that you hate Ezra Miller's version of the Flash, but I'll kind of argue that he was one of the better characters in this particular version. Although he fires off like I don't want to count all the jokes he fires off, and some of them do fall very flat.
As often as he.
Yeah. Okay. So here, look. Jonathan Yo jumps in too and says Flash was awful. I actually feel the opposite. I actually didn't mind his version of the Flash, and Gordon mentioned Aquaman and Flash. I actually think Flash and Cyborg were kind of fun together. And I'll mention the scene where they're digging up Superman's body.
Right.
And when it first opens up, I'm like, why doesn't Flash just take care of it? And then he actually was like, I don't know, I could do this faster, but it feels like disrespectful. And they kind of start like, he kind of starts trying to banter with Cyborg Victor Stone, and Vix is not really feeling it, and then he's kind of goes for the fist bump like twice, and then I think he finally gets it at the end of the movie in a really awkward looking film scene. But what exactly is your problem with his version of the Flash? I just wanted you to kind of like break it down if you can, other than you just hate his face. I don't know.
Okay, so actually, I'm going to agree with you. I don't like his interpretation, but I am going to walk back my complete dissatisfaction. I did find some of his jokes, like his comedic timing, were quite interesting. I guess what it for me is that it's not Barry Allen. It's very Wally West. Barry Allen is just, and now I kind of feel like I'm sounding like Andre. But Barry Allen is not typically a jokester. That's a very Wally West version. I also found, I didn't know, was he trying to play socially awkward? Barry Allen is very smart
I think he was trying to, because he was like, I need more friends as one of his jokes.
Yeah, no, I know. So it's just a different, it's a completely different interpretation of that character. I mean, Batman and Barry Allen are somewhat head to head when it comes to their detective skills and stuff like that. So I get it. You're going to play younger to Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne. That's fine. But it just seemed like a very bizarre, and I'm not, okay. So anyways, I'm also not a fan of the way he runs. They wanted it to be very fluid, like as if he's reaching out and he's like grabbing onto lightning almost as he's like running. But I actually hate the way he runs, and I'm not a fan of the suit. I don't like the suit whatsoever. I hate the suit.
You hate the suit.
I do. I'm not a fan of the suit. When thankfully the Andy Mazzucchelli, the director of the upcoming Flash movie, is changing it. Thankfully, so I'm just not a big fan. Although I will say, upon rewatching the movie, he kind of grew on me. But I also have there's some weirdness about the actor himself, and I don't want to get too deep into that. But it just, I don't know. For me, it's just not my Flash, but it's the Flash we got. So there. Well,
it is funny. You make an excellent point of a character whose ability is to run, that they wouldn't put a little more effort into the way that he runs. So I don't know. Right. I think Gordon was in on our Running Man podcast, and he mentioned how Schwarzenegger actually has a really good looking run for a big guy.
When he was running across the airport.
And you have actors like Tom Cruise, and I'm trying to think of who else that when they run, you're like, wow, I should do some cardio. It looks pretty impressive. So from the Flash, you don't get any of that from this. So I don't know if that's some type of oversight.
It's just a weird. I think it's a weird stylistic choice that Snyder had made, and I don't see that getting any better in the upcoming movie.
Yeah, like wouldn't you go and like look up the fastest runners and kind of study?
Well, like you don't see Usain Bolt doing that, right? Yeah. Like I think if you saw Usain Bolt running all those Olympics, in the way the Flash does, people are like, what the hell is he doing with his arms? Like it doesn't make any sense. Also, one of the issues I have is that he trips. How many times did he fall and stumble? Batman had to save him. He tripped over. He tripped while he was facing off Clark. He gets distracted. He's like looking like that, and he falls into the wall. I mean, he trips constantly. When he was running down the Kryptonian ship, and he did the spark on the mother box, then he wipes out. Like this guy is constantly wiping out. So it's just a weird choice in his portrayal.
Yeah, I guess I can see what you're saying. I did find him kind of funny, but maybe that's just because nothing else in the movie was really hitting on those.
No, I will say, and
other than
I agree with you on that part.
Yeah. Other than and a bunch of people already mentioned in the chat. I don't know where it is. It's gone now. But Jason Momoa. So maybe let's talk a little bit about the cast since we're already on this thread. Sure. Jason Momoa is Aquaman.
Yep.
I remember not liking him as much before because you were just like, oh, he's just a bro or whatever. But he was pretty funny in this. Up on the rewatch, I feel like he doesn't act quite the same way he does in Aquaman. Like every time he did something, he would let out this weird yell. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have that in Aquaman. He's like, woo, or whatever. Whenever he's about to do something,
whatever. Yeah.
It was kind of funny. But the whole I think the line is like dresses like a bat or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
He's just kind of looking
at
like
a bat. So all right.
He's like, so you dress like a bat. Right. And he's like, all right, just like a bat.
All right.
Dig it. Right?
Yeah.
And Batman goes to like plant the tracking device on him, and he's like, I put it in his jacket, and then I don't even think it was his jacket because he just throws the clothes on the shore and then slips off. Which was kind of funny. I don't know if that is a written scene that says Momoa strips down and just throws his clothes about and dives into the ocean. Or if that was something Momoa thought of, like, what if I just don't care about these clothes and I throw them away?
What do I need clothes for? I'm in the water. They're a drag. Yeah, no, I there's a lot of people who aren't fans of Momoa being cast as Arthur Curry / Aquaman. I'm okay with it. I thought he did a decent job in his own standalone movie. And this is the one thing I think I mentioned yesterday when we did the fan reaction trailer, is that we have to remember now that we're seeing something that was initially conceived in 2016, 2017. And so we're not going to get the same Aquaman that we are now kind of accustomed to after he had his own solo movie. And so watching him in this movie again with that giant bulky armor, like it's kind of bananas. But I'm cool with it. I mean, obviously now we can move to Gal Gadot. That was her third outing as the character.
Did we get Wonder Woman 1 before this movie dropped?
Yeah. So Wonder Woman, the first one came out in July, and this movie came out in November of 2017. So,
but Wonder Woman 84 is supposed to take place before this movie, right?
Yes, because of the title of
There's
1984.
a lot of questions that come up when you start to try and fit that back in. So I don't even think we can touch on it, because there's a whole shot at Steve Trevor and bringing back the ones you love and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like Wonder Woman could have launched in a whole speech of how this one day,
when she's
one
like,
day I got what I wanted and it didn't work out. So it was just kind of funny. I know that it's impossible for them to have factored that in. So if somehow that is factored into the Snyder Cut, that's going to be hilarious.
I liked,
but it's
Ray
good.
Fisher.
Her fight scenes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, her fight scenes were good.
Before we get off Gal Gadot, 10 times, like 100 times better fight scenes than in Wonder Woman 84. She gets to really kick some ass. She takes down this random bank robbery that felt really out of place. There's a funny scene where she's just standing on top of a statue for some reason, watching going on at the beginning,
creeping.
And then later she's like dusting an old statue, and she's holding a brush in her hand, but she's actually scraping the statue with her fingernails. So I'm like, what is going on? What is she doing to the statue? Nitpick, but I just thought it was funny. But her action scenes and the Amazonian action scenes, I don't know if that's the terminology, Amazonian, Amazons. It were amazing. And those Amazons, they put everyone to shame. Like I don't know if you're watching people's physicality, other than I guess Jason Momoa, who looked pretty ripped.
No, they are ripped.
Those Amazons, especially the ones that there's a scene where they break down the columns to collapse the tunnel, which did absolutely nothing because Steppenwolf was like on their ass like 2 seconds later.
Right, he just cut through the concrete.
They put everyone to shame, and then there's one point where I think they're holding up the wall, and you just see like these massive guns, and they're just I was pretty impressed by that. I was like, yeah, that's cool. I don't remember seeing any of that kind of happen in the Wonder Woman, so I don't know if it's. They
were a lot of those were carryovers from the cast, because most of them are all professional athletes. A couple of them were boxers, bodybuilders, not ultimate fighters. So what are those? CrossFit. A lot of CrossFit competitors. Can I ask you? There's that scene where they're fighting Steppenwolf in the tunnel before Aquaman comes in, because the water breaks through, and Flash, he kind of pushes the sword towards. He pushes the sword.
Diana. It's one of my notes. I'm like, would that not shred his finger up?
Right.
I don't know. I don't understand Flash's power. If you could explain how exactly that works.
I didn't get that, but then they all tumble, and no surprise, Flash falls. But then he falls on top of Diana, and then he quickly gets off. Like, and that, no pun intended. But did you find that to be like weird at all? Like, I guess knowing what you're hearing now about stuff with Joss Whedon, did you find that to be a little bit bizarre, or was it just like it reminded me of very like 1980s humor? But
it's weird. Yeah. When the scene did pop up, I was like, that's kind of weird. I remember getting a laugh in the theater though. So like, maybe it's just kind of like, maybe it's more like kind of like we've elevated Gal Gadot now. It's like kind of like, why are you doing that type of silly stuff to her? But yeah, like well, as we're going through all the characters, folks, definitely drop in who your do we want to know your favorite character and maybe the worst character?
Yeah,
sure.
We
want to know the two extremes. So if we were to throw all these guys on a chart, who would be at the top of your chart as your favorite thing about this movie, and who would be at the bottom? And I think Rob, you were talking about Cyborg as we kind of go through a lot of Ray Fisher. Yeah.
This is a tough
one. I liked him. I don't. Does he do voice work? Like his voice sounded very familiar, but I don't actually.
He's a Broadway. This is his first movie, I believe. He's Broadway.
Yeah, they did a disservice. Like whoever decided to do the CG and decided to go with that much CG for him, really screwed him over. Like because his face is like floating half the time, and you're like, you could have just done this with a prosthetic, and we would have been fine with it.
No,
I don't know why you had to be so greedy and try to do an entire CG body. You think they had to do it?
No, I think they had to do it. I think if you look at, there's a lot of people, and I'm not taking away from Jovian Wades, who stars as Cyborg in the Doom Patrol TV series. But you see what they have with the prosthetics put on, and I would much prefer the CG. I agree with you. There was a couple times where Cyborg has his face turned to the side, and it does look like his face is floating. It's like as if you're using that app.
He's always kind of like going like this, and you're just like, what's going on? Like
it's like you're using that app on your phone, and it alters your face a little bit. And then if you turn, it doesn't pixelate properly. I think I would like to know, like, what people think of Cyborg in this movie and what they're going to think of him in the upcoming Snyder Cut, because from all accounts that I'm seeing, he got. Listen, I don't want, again, this is another guy who's got a lot of problems with WB and with Joss Whedon and Jeff Johns and everybody else, but apparently he got done pretty dirty in this version of the movie, and that he is the heart of the Justice League.
I remember hearing early on, one of the interviews early on, that Cyborg was supposedly the heart of this movie and got completely cut and pushed to the wayside. So so it will be interesting to see how that character changes. But I overall did
I liked his portrayal.
The idea of that character, a lot of the stuff towards the end kind of falls apart. Like, it's like, what is he doing? He's pushing those cubes? No, he's pulling them apart. Okay,
pulling them apart.
Now what? Oh, he's hacking stuff. Okay, sure. Oh, he's got a defensive system. Okay, Steppenwolf just threw a giant axe into his back. Where's your defensive system now, buddy? Like, it's very inconsistent at certain points. So you're kind of like, I think they just didn't quite know what to do with it. And I think if they did tone back the cybernetics look, because, and especially, I don't know who did the design. I'm sorry to crap on someone's work, but that overall design was pretty bad. He kind of gets a redux at the end. He gets the chest plate. Yeah, it looks a little popular instead of just looking like a chasm. Anyways, mispronunciation of things. My trademark. Who should I call Scott next? Anyways,
Scott and Wolf.
And anyone else you want to mention, and then we'll go into, I've seen a couple of the comments. Yeah,
I actually wrote down J.K. Simmons as Commissioner Gordon. I really liked his portrayal, as small as it was. I think he's only in it for 2 scenes. I really liked his portrayal as Commissioner Gordon. I don't know if you remember, but at the time he went to London, and I guess he had a lot of time on his hands. He got ripped. There were shots of him at the gym, and he had biceps almost as big as Ben Affleck's. Like, and he's like 68 years old or whatever, and he was just pumping iron right before shooting this movie. So
definitely an underutilization. Like, I thought he was like really.
I think he got underutilized, and I think that our friend who played Alfred, I think he got screwed over as well.
I was gonna say, like, Alfred, our guy Alfred. There is he's definitely the voice of reason. He mentions a lot of things going against what Batman's saying, and you're like, Alfred seems to know exactly what's going on. And he actually starts by piloting that. I forgot what the hell that thing was called. That spider robot. They had a weird name for it.
Didn't they call it the Crawler?
Yeah, they called it something funny, but it was. But it was funny because like, I was gonna say, is he technically part of the Justice League? Because he's in it with them. And there's actually one scene where they're rising on this platform out of the water to get into the plane, and it pans, and it's like Wonder Woman, Cyborg, Flash, and then Batman, and then Alfred standing there. I'm like, oh, what? Just let him on the plane. He might as well come with you guys.
But it looked really bad. It looked like a CG render of him because he was kind of bent over. It was like a weird.
It did, like, and when they pull away, it looked like a stand-in. It definitely didn't look like he was standing there. So that's some oddball stuff that will, I guess, let's wrap up characters. Aquaman, we talked about. A lot of people mentioned that they hate the Flash. So Flash is on a lot of people's worst of this movie list. And I actually didn't mind him for the comic relief. And Aquaman, Batman's at the top.
But so I wanted to bring up the Batman thing. A couple things. One, I felt that his suit looked really clunky. In difference to how he looked in Batman versus Superman. And I'm not talking about that armor where they're fighting the whole Martha scene. I'm talking about his main suit that he wore throughout that movie, BVS, compared to this one. It looked really clunky. Now, here's where the funny part, when you're sitting in the theater and you first see Superman with the bad CGI, and you're like, oh my God. And then you see Bruce Wayne go to that Nordic town to try to find Aquaman. And they reshot a lot of that scene with new dialogue. The problem is that Ben Affleck had stopped working out. He gained probably about maybe 30 pounds of not muscle. And he grew, I guess either he grew back his beard or they put a beard on him. But you're watching the scene, and as it's being edited, you can tell it's different. It's the different versions. It's like, oh, in one his beard's a bit more, and the other time is a bit more unkempt, and then oh, he's a bit more thin in the face, and his hair is a bit more tight, and then oh, he's a bit puffier and unkempt beard, and his hair is a bit like it was so bad. It's like, why would you just not reshoot the entire thing? Like, why
it's very questionable.
it's distracting. It's just distracting from the movie.
Well, you know what? That was a horrible scene even to begin with. Like, he goes into that bar and he's like, I'm looking for Aquaman. Aquaman's standing right next to him, which is hilarious. And then he looks on the wall, and there's like this carving on the wall of basically Aquaman, and he looks exactly like Jason Momoa. And then it's got the dark side boxes or the mother boxes in the picture, and you're just like, why is this here? And then Batman's like, hey, tell me what that drawing is, I'm gonna give you this money. And then tell me who blah 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 is, I'm gonna give. I'm like, this is such a random, like, weird scene to put in here. Like, they should have cut it out. So moving on from the characters, like, do we want to talk about Superman a little bit? Like, it almost feels like we can like not talk about him and throw him away, because that's basically what it felt like he was done in this movie. He was kind of
I think they did him dirty as well. I messaged you today. The scene where he's at the farmhouse with Lois after they take off, man, almost 98% of that scene, even when Martha comes and meets him, it's all CGI'd face. He's hugging Lois and he says something and his lip goes like into like a weird V, and it's like, it just looks so bad. I was like, what? I don't. Yeah, you know what?
Not even you.
They should have kept the beard when you die. As Scott will be able to test as a doctor, your facial hair still grows, so they should have just kept the damn facial hair.
No, like there's a whole debate that could have been undertaken, and even after you saw the end result of the CG, you probably should have said, hey, let's leave the mustache in. But leave it. But anyways, even just Superman's character, he comes in and starts making these kind of like one-liner, almost like snooty jokes, and it doesn't fit at all. It's really ridiculous, really out of character. Like,
well, and it doesn't actually jive with what we had his portrayal in those prior two movies. It's like a whole different. It's a whole different character.
But I think that's what they were going for. I think Joss Whedon or whoever was in charge was like, oh, people don't like this version of Superman, so we're gonna completely 180 him. But I felt like, especially on this rewatch, a lot of that stuff felt flat. I'm trying to look at my notes and see if I had a particular instance of where that like really got to me. But
what, his facial features or just his joke?
No, not just the way he was acting. Yeah, the some of the one-liners he spit out.
Well, his joking at the end when he and Cyborg finally released the mother boxes and they're lying on the ground and he's like doing like that. And
he's like, I take it back. I want to be dead. Yeah. And then Cyborg's like, I can't feel my toes.
I don't even understand the physics of that because I don't have toes. And Superman's like, like that. And that preceding that is Batman. And Superman's like, oh, I thought you brought me because you like me. And he's like, well, I don't not like you. Like, I was like, come on, man. What is this?
It was really bad. Jonathan Yo mentions the pants. Superman. So Superman gets resurrected and his pants somehow survive this whole explosion of resurrection. And I did at one point, I was like, are those the pants from the suit that he was buried in? Or did he go and get like his Superman pants? I didn't understand.
They're dress pants.
Why? Yeah. I'm like, were they dress pants though? I didn't see a belt or anything.
Yeah, they were. Well, his socks, his shoes, his shirt, his jacket, his tie, they all got obliterated. But his pants, he became the Bruce Banner of the 1980 Hulk cartoon, where the pants always stayed on. That's what he became.
They're special. Sarah's mentioning that Batman undressed him and put on some new pants. put on some tactical pants because he didn't want to.
I think those were Lululemons. That's what they were. That's why
those things are indestructible. The old stuff. Let's see. I think. Do we want to? Is there anyone else we want to talk about? Do we need to talk about Stephen Wolf, aka Goat Boy?
No.
He looked horrible. Really ridiculous.
Did you notice that one of his chin horns was broken? Did you notice that?
I tried not to look at his face. It was pretty brutal. I don't think there's anyone else we have to cover. Did we miss anybody? No. Amy Adams barely used in the movie. Ma Ken. I kind of don't. there's a scene where Martha and Lois are chilling, talking to each other, and on the
In the
news there's a
lunchroom.
lady. Yeah, there's a lady ranting about alien probes, and I was like, why is this in here? I don't like why.
Yeah,
Like,
because you know what?
if anyone knows, please explain to me why exactly that was. She was like, "I'm gonna probe you" or something. I
Well,
was
because
like,
her
"What is
husband
going?"
was one of the ones that were captured by the parademons, right? And so and so I I think it almost boiled down to Joss Whedon just thought, hey, kids like dick and fart jokes, and so we're gonna make
Yeah,
dick and fart jokes and anal probes up your a hole, and there we go. And this isn't it funny? And yeah, it was just it's tonally, and this is where I expect there to be a course correction on Thursday. Tonally, this movie is completely different than the two that preceded it. And that's why it's so jarring to watch this movie now. After having watched the last 2 weeks, Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman, this is like, what happened? Like, I don't understand.
yeah. Scott mentions the picture of Kevin Costner, which was there. It was buried with Clark in Batman versus Superman, which Kevin Costner does not appear, and then it falls out from, I guess, his casket or whatever in this movie, and then it is going to, I think, reappear in the Snyder Cut. So I do ask the question again: does Kevin Costner get anything for that? You think?
No, he gets nothing.
Like...
no, he gets nothing for his photo. No. His likeness is he was paid for it before. I wrote down in terms of the music, they brought in Danny Elfman. Danny Elfman.
Yeah. I was gonna say, do you like your Batman '89 throwback?
Yeah, actually, I do. I actually like he was the one who conceived it originally, so he threw that in there a couple of times. He used it. He also incorporated the John Williams Superman theme. And so it's interesting because those two themes are very iconic for those characters. And so not in this upcoming re-release, but I expect that they'll likely be using those themes going forward. I think I think that's just the way it is. As much as I enjoyed the Man of Steel themes, I think that the John Williams score is just Superman, and I think that the Elfman's '89 Batman is the Batman theme. I don't think you're going to get anything different. So it was okay, but again, it felt very, watching this movie and listening to the music, it felt very Joel Schumacher-ish. It felt very poppy. It felt very bubblegum version of Justice League, which is not what we were expecting.
Yeah. It definitely didn't. Nothing really kind of hit me except for that little nod to Batman '89, and then they proceeded to kind of use it a little too much, in my opinion. Like, I don't know what else we need to hit really, other than I guess maybe we should talk a little bit about how hobbled together everything feels. Like, I don't remember noticing it as much. We've already talked about it a little bit. Bad CG, a lot of green screen. You can tell a lot of the times the cast wasn't actually together. I think some of the Justice League meeting scenes are green screened or stitched together. So it's really kind of a really bizarre oddity, and it's almost like you wish, I don't think it's going to happen now, but Joss or someone would do a cut or do a director's commentary or behind the scenes of what went behind kind of trying to stitch this movie and how it led to only 25% of the overall footage being used. Like, if that's a true fact, so we're going to bleed it a little bit into I guess our anticipation for the Snyder Cut now. If only 25% of this is Josh Whedon, I mean, not whatever, Snyder's original cut, and this movie was 2 hours, an exact 2 hours, I believe. So some quick math leads us with 50 minutes.
Yeah, well, it's an hour and a half, 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, 90 minutes. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So whatever 25% of 90 is, I don't feel like doing math right now because
No. That's what's left. It's 90 minutes. Only half an hour. If it's 25% over 2 hours, only half an hour of this movie is the original Snyder Cut. The remaining 90 minutes is what Joss Whedon had redone.
Yeah, and now we have a 4-hour movie coming up that is supposedly none of that Joss Whedon footage.
No, none of it. None of it will be in it.
So he cannot use any of that stuff that was
he doesn't want
that
to.
is attached to this movie. Yeah. So we're gonna get like how much more like if anyone wants to do the math, I already lost track. I feel like we should have had a whiteboard out trying to work it out. 25% of this, and now we've got 4 hours of this. So 25% of that into the 4 hours is this much. Like, I feel like it's not as easy as just plugging 25% into the 4 hours. I feel
well,
like
John, I'm not a math person, but if it's 25% over 2 hours, and you have to anticipate, then it's only going to be 12.5% over 4 hours.
Yeah, so that's crazy, right? That's crazy. So we've only seen 12. You're saying we've only seen 12% of the Snyder Cut, and then factor in, I guess, all the teasers they dropped, and then maybe we've seen like 15%. Like, so how much of this are we going to see and just be like, wow, this is completely different?
So it's interesting you bring this up, because I rewatched the trailer before we went live tonight. The scene where Diana is fighting Steppenwolf. So it's towards the end. They're on like a long platform.
Yep.
And then he pushes her back, and Aquaman comes in, and he tries to stab him with the trident. Now that scene is in the trailer, but the actual background in the new trailer and in the new movie is different. They're not on in that. It was almost like a ship, or not a ship. It was a kind of a building or whatever. It's now out in the open in the new movie. So the background and the environment are completely different in the new. So that physical shot of them fighting is there, but it's completely all different now. So does that count as the 25%, or is it
there could be some trickery going on, whereas if any of Zach's shots got reduxed, then maybe he doesn't count that as part of his thing, even though we've kind of technically seen it. Gordon mentions, does Aquaman have a theme? I think it's I think it's Pitbull's remix of that Africa song that plays in the movie when they come out of the beach. It's like, the rains in Africa. That always pops in my head, and he got Pitbull doing his thing in the background. So
I think it's actually Baby Shark.
I feel like that's definitely his theme, and I hope that pops up in the Snyder Cut for sure.
Yeah, I mean, so listen, man, how do you, before we talk about what we're anticipating, I guess, for Thursday, how do you rate Justice League? Now we've watched.
Yeah. So last week I was hoping Comic Book Craig was going to be here, but I did the ranking, and I was saying, Superman, Man of Steel in the top. I was going to slide this movie in underneath it, and then Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
I was going to put this second. I can no longer put it second, so it actually slides down to the bottom.
To fourth.
If you look on the floor, if you've got carpet, lift up your carpet and shove it under there, because it's pretty ridiculous.
Can I ask?
It's watchable. You can put it on in the background.
I agree.
And kind of enjoy it, and you can watch some of the jokes and some of the scenes, and have a fun time. But overall, if you try to start to make sense of all this, it is kind of overall straightforward. I feel like what they did is they tried to go for these, like, I feel like the passage of time in this movie doesn't make sense. It's really like all over the place. Like, at the end when Batman's like going to sacrifice himself in the Batmobile, I feel like he gets halfway there, and all of a sudden the Justice League just drops down and helps him. And I'm like, well, if they could catch up to him that easily, where exactly were they when they initiated this plan?
They didn't really talk.
It feels like there's no passage of time. There's no concept of where people are in certain situations. So if you start like trying to map this out on how it makes sense and stuff, I feel like it doesn't work at all. So are you gonna, if you can buy a copy of Snyder Cut, are you gonna throw away or give away your Joss Whedon cut, or are you gonna keep it in your collection just so you can go back and do this comparison?
No, I'll keep it. I'll keep it to remind myself that, sometimes you have good days and sometimes you have bad days, and you have to take, when you have the bad days, you have to remember there's always going to be something that you're going to learn from those bad days to let you have even better days. So that's why I'll keep this movie. I was actually going to say something, and now I completely.
I'll give you a second. I'll throw through some of the comments. So Scott says Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, Iron Man, and then Justice League, Iron Man 2 and Justice League. Iron Man 2, I feel like gets a bum rap a little bit. But I did think that with this movie as well. I feel like when it first came out, I was kind of a proponent, or whatever you would call it, that saying, I think it's kind of getting a bad rap a little bit. You should go and see it and have fun. But I think I was wrong. It was a kind of like, so this is where the theater adds an element. If you're in the theater, you're watching this, big sound, popcorn, a couple of friends. So you could simulate this experience at home on the couch, a couple friends, couple drinks, popcorn. Then you can definitely skate through this movie, no problem. But if you sit down and really kind of think about it, it really falls hell apart.
I agree with you, though, because I remember kind of fighting, saying, it's not that bad. At least we have Superman. At least we have the Justice League on the big screen. That was always what I had kind of said, is that at least we have that, because we don't have anything else. At least we have that. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Marvel movies aside, right? If you're a DC fanboy, at least you got to see your comic kind of come to life on the screen, and it's very much like how we talked about when you grew up and all you had was 89 Batman or Superman 1. We talked about this when we redid those movies and rewatched them. It's like, well, that's all you had at the time, so you were just thankful for what you had. And so I really kind of applied that same logic to this movie when it came out. I'm just thankful that we have it. And yes, you're right. I've watched it a couple of times since owning it, so I've probably seen it 6 or 7 times. But it's interesting, and I wanted to get I asked you this question last week, and I think I asked our amazing friends who join us every week, if this upcoming movie now puts Batman versus Superman into a different light for you, seeing these trailers that we've seen now, and you see that there is definitely a DNA tie to Batman versus Superman, including the helmet that Batman wears in Justice League is the one that Alfred's working on when he's doing that baby butter like that, right? That's the same helmet that he was working on. So the plot threads or the Easter eggs or the breadcrumbs, I guess is what it was, in Batman versus Superman looks like they'll pay off in Justice League. So do you think then you have, after seeing this new trailer, a bit better of an appreciation for Batman versus Superman, knowing that it kind of was supposed to tie directly into this proper Justice League?
I think your argument has merit, but Batman versus Superman is still not a clean film. It definitely had some producers' fingers in there or whatever, and going, hey, make sure you put the old Justice League in there. So if they made a recut of that Batman versus Superman and trim some of the fat, I think, then everything would more line up in sequence. But I do have more appreciation for the tonality that he had created for it and the way that the characters acted, because when you watch them in this movie, but he didn't get to play with the entire Justice League, or only got to play with 25% of them. So we'll see what happens in the new movie. Let's touch on this quickly. So Gordon mentioned that random family in the truck at the end. I don't know if Rob, you want to explain what? When I was on the rewatch, I definitely had to send Rob a quick text going, what is with this family boarding themselves into this house so randomly?
It's really funny because when they are in what I guess is a makeshift Batcave, they start talking about where, you to find the mother boxes, which I'm going to say as an aside, I actually hate the fact these mother boxes are referred to as mother. There you are, mother. That's not how mother boxes work. But they're talking about how this area, it is essentially a Chernobyl area in Russia. It was called something else. But they're like, the population is starting to come back and it's starting to build and grow. And then you have this shot of this trailer, this modified trailer home, and there's nothing else around it. And I'm like, wait a minute. I thought
it must have just been time to. It must have just been done to fill time.
And I was like,
Josh probably needed. I think Josh needed just or whoever made the call, whatever, just needed to fill some time and make you actually think that this was a threat, because they don't show anybody else. You can kind of see people running away in the background when they finally get out of the house and jump into the truck and stuff like that. But
it was bad, man. It's
It was
bad.
bad. So I guess we don't need to talk about it anymore. So Sarah ranks Man of Steel, Justice League, and then somewhere under that, so Batman versus Superman. So she still definitely did big Batman versus Superman, and it's summarized pretty good. A couple of the people later in the comments mentioned that Batman versus Superman is a 3-hour ultimate cut. So maybe the opinion could be changed if you watch the shorter cut, although it was only a half hour shorter.
Yeah.
But I feel like if there was a tighter 2-hour cut, the movie would definitely fly by a little faster. Maybe people wouldn't have such a kind of like a bad taste in their mouth after it. So let me see. Someone else threw in their rankings. Where'd it go?
Boom tubes, John. While you're looking for that,
oh God,
how come the boom tubes don't actually? Oh, I don't know.
Boom?
Boom. Yeah. they make barely.
They could have even reused that Matrix or whatever sound effect where it goes whom that they reused in like every trailer of that era.
They could have used that would the exact same noise that they use in Man of Steel with the Earth engine. They could have just used that as the boom.
Yeah. So Fraser actually goes above and beyond, and he actually throws in some of the other DC movies. So he says Man of Steel, Wonder Woman 1, Aquaman, Batman versus Superman, and then Justice League. So I noticed you left off Wonder Woman 84 because I feel like that doesn't even deserve to be on the list anymore.
Well, it makes me laugh though if Fraser thinks that this JL is better than WW84 or not.
That'd be funny. I do quite like Aquaman, and on the rewatch I did have a lot of fun with it. So I would probably slide my Aquaman just under Man of Steel, maybe. Just for some reason, Man of Steel has just got this charm that just works.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. So
Scott says rubber baby buggy bumpers.
Yeah,
rubber baby buggy bumpers.
Well, I'd like to know what everybody is anticipating for Thursday. Like, what is it that you are you hyped now after having seen this new trailer that came out? I know that some people are not going to be they have no care about it, but for some of you, are you excited for this a bit more than you were? Are you kind of feeling this groundswell of support and excitement that is happening online with people that have seen it? I'd like to know. What about you, John? Has your level of interest increased since? I mean, we announced this. If you remember, we did a live reaction back in July, I think, of 2020.
I feel like it was almost a year ago. But yeah, I think yeah, I'm pretty glad we did this because I definitely wouldn't have done this on my own, and I don't think I've ever done something like this on my own to go back and rewatch all the preceding stuff. So shout outs to anyone who's ever done that for Lord of the Rings or the Marvel universe, who's ever kind of went back and rewatched all the MCU stuff leading up to Endgame and stuff like that. Well, man, you guys are hardcore. But I think I feel like I feel pretty happy that we did it, and I am excited. More so because some of the reviews are starting to drop now, and the hype train is just going. I was going to do a graphic of a train with Rob's face on it and call it the hype train, but I didn't have time to get to that. But I feel like the hype train is still definitely up there. I saw some people review it at like an 8 out of 10, which I feel like I'm comfortable with. That doesn't make, like, if some people were going like 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, then I'd be kind of like, this seems kind of fishy. But at a solid 8 out of 10, I'd be very happy if the movie sits at that. But I know, Rob, you're super excited for this, even more so now.
So just to clarify, I was very excited for Wonder Woman 84, and I admittedly ate my hat during the review of that. I went in, I was excited. I was talking about how I was going to purchase this thing. I have no interest in owning that movie, although I will probably get it if it was like a $10 bin because I'm a completionist.
It was sad. Even when we did that podcast together, it was kind of like, well, guess we have to do this.
Yeah.
And we didn't like, a movie is really bad if you don't even want to rip on it. So at least, like, if you didn't like Justice League or you didn't like Batman versus Superman, and you've joined us here, at least you've had fun ripping on it. I feel like Wonder Woman, you don't even have fun ripping on it.
No. So if this movie, if I don't enjoy this upcoming version of Justice League, I will be very honest about it. I will find some good, I'm sure, and I will listen. If anybody saw the reaction last night, I said a couple of things that kind of bothered me a little bit. First of all, I thought Darkseid looks way too lean, like he's on a keto diet. And also the voice work between him and Steppenwolf in that trailer is very hard to discern who was speaking because they both have very deep baritone voice. So there are obviously going to be some issues that I'm going to have with it. But for me, I remember being very excited because the last few years you kept hearing about this movement. And then when it was announced, like, I want to say it was like a Wednesday or a Thursday at like 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and we jumped. The four of us jumped on and we did a live reaction talking about it. We were like shocked that it was actually being released. And I was very excited and have been since. And so are my expectations a bit too high? Which I know is not a question you asked me, but is it a bit too high?
Are your expectations too high, Sir Scott? Sir Scott, I was going to call you Scott again. Look at this. All right,
but you just did. Are my expectations a bit too high? Potentially. But I think I'm anticipating a guy's proper vision. It's very rare that somebody can come back and have a second kick of the can of his own product, and something that was essentially taken away from him and made something different. So I'm looking forward to seeing everything he's put into this. I think it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. I think it's going to be way better than what we have, and bring it on. I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah, so I think in the comments, generally people are excited to catch this. Some people talking about bowel movements. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah. Oh, so Fraser had a movement this morning, but potentially he pooped. Yeah, Jonathan, I know. Jonathan is like, just say yeah. I know. Oh, wait, no, wrong comment. But yeah, Jonathan was like, just say yes. And I was like, yeah, I know. I sometimes I bury the lead, but yeah, I'm excited for it. Like, how can you not be? How's that? How can you not be?
It's well, I guess what else have we got going on? But now we've got a million things going on this week. So how about in the comments? Are you more excited for Snyder Cut, Falcon and Winter Soldier, or Invincible? We did this poll in one of our reactions, and I feel like Snyder Cut is going to be a bigger deal. But man, that Falcon and Winter Soldier looks pretty damn good. I'm very concerned about this 4-hour runtime on Snyder Cut. I don't know how I'm going to break it up. I don't know if I'm going to watch 1 hour a day, or whatever, or if I'm just going to sit through 4 hours. And I feel like you have to take a meal break in the middle of that. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to. Imagine if this was in theaters, 4 hours. Would you be able to sit? I know Rob, you would probably do it out of principle. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you'd be able to sit for 4 hours without having to go to the washroom or grab an additional snack. Because I'm definitely finishing my soda in the first hour.
Oh, well, that's your problem. You go too hard, too fast, right? Just like prom night. You can't do that. You have to take your time, John. All right? You have to let...
And we're in after hours mode, folks.
Once 9 o'clock hits, it's after hours. You have to extend out your time, man. All right? So you give me a break. No. I would listen. Did you not see Braveheart in theaters? That was what, 3.5, 3.25? Like there are a lot of.
It was how many VHS? I think at the time I worked at the movie rental place, and it was like 2 colossal VHSs, and when people were renting it, and I'm like, damn, you got an evening ahead of you. I don't know how people went through that.
So it's interesting. So Scott said he looks forward to Falcon and then Invincible. So I'm assuming by that Scott has no interest in watching this version of Justice League.
Yeah. My buddy Andreas is in here. He says Snyder Cut. He's a big fan of the Snyder Cut stuff. So I can't imagine what this is like for the Snyder heads or the Snyder fans or whatever you want to call them. This is like dream come true. For people who are really into it. So a lot of people are saying Falcon. So I think Marvel is still winning this race. So even Gordon says Falcon Winter Soldier. Sarah says she's looking forward to Mondays at 8, which is amazing. I love that.
I have a funny feeling that some people are looking forward to seeing me and have a mea culpa or fall flat on my face like Barry Allen on Monday. I don't anticipate that happening. That's not.
All right, sorry. Let's round out the rest of the comments. And I don't know, if, Rob, if there's anything else you want to say. Is there anything we missed talking about in Justice League, folks? Now, speak now or forever hold your peace until the Snyder Cut drops. Gordon's going to paint his left arm silver. I think his arm is going to be the Wakandan steel now, so it's kind of like a dark black metallic color now, I think. But I'll definitely I would join in if I had paint. Let's see. Jonathan Yo says Falcon Winter Soldier. It's Falcon. Yeah, everyone's Falcon and Winter Soldier first. I don't know if that's only because you're watching 40 minutes versus 44 hours or whatever 60 times 4 is. Andreas said he's down for the 4 hours. Andreas, are you going to wake up first thing Thursday morning, or is this going to drop at midnight or 3 a.m., Rob, that you know of? And are people going to be able to stay up all night and watch it?
Yeah, no, there's been a lot of people on who've been asking the Crave Help Twitter account as to when it's being released, and they keep saying there's no information as of yet. I don't know if it's because they're waiting for HBO Max because they don't want to jump the gun. So I guess whenever HBO Max drops it, Crave will do it the same. So I imagine, by the time you wake up on Thursday, it'll be there, or maybe it's noon hour Eastern, 8 Pacific.
Well, right? I think some people are going to be in the middle of the night hitting that refresh button to see what happens. Jonathan Yo says 4 hours watch party. If we could actually get together, that would be something. And I feel like we would definitely have a table of snacks and all that kind of stuff, and people would be taking breaks. So hopefully one day when this is all over.
You know what, John? I'm not above by saying that if this movie, when this movie rocks, which it will, I'll put up a big screen out in the backyard, and we can broadcast the 4 hours again, sitting in the pool with some bevies.
Oh my goodness! All right, let's see. Scott said he is watching it, and he puts it at third place. Let's see.
Yeah.
Anyone else we have to hit? I think everyone's just chatting about an after hours show now.
After dark.
Sarah says Gordon has to start repainting his arm the other color now. So. Sorry. Well, you can switch arms, so you can have both arms.
That wouldn't be accurate.
I've got the old Winter Soldier hair. Gordon mentions I've got the Winter Soldier hair, but I've got the old Winter Soldier hair. So now I'm gonna have to get the Jason Priestley cut.
That's right.
to match. I miss long-haired Winter Soldier.
Let me ask you, why do you think that there is so much more love for in this chat for Winter Soldier? Is it because they just are tired of I guess it would really amount to a lot of drama and the talk and the constant talking about this upcoming movie? Or is it because people have invested so much time in Falcon and Soldier and Winter Soldier as characters over the course of, even though they weren't in 22 movies, but in 6 movies?
I think it's the theming. Winter Soldier, Falcon and the Winter Soldier has got a heavily buddy comedy element to it, akin to Bad Boys, 48 Hours, Rush Hour, all those things of that pedigree, if you want to call it. And Justice League, while it's got all of our favorite superheroes, and my brother was actually on one of the reactions, and he made a good point, is he actually really loves the casting for this, and he doesn't quite like the direction they've taken, but he loves the casting. So we love all the people in this movie, but it does have a darker tone. It does have a more serious tone. Zack Snyder is known to kind of do a lot of these slow motion things, so maybe people do want to see it, but it's that thing on your plate that you're kind of like, it'll probably be good, but I'm going to get to it. I'm going to eat like this dessert or, this sweeter portion first or something like that I know I'm going to be in on or whatever. So I feel like overall it also could, I think a huge factor is the whole 4 hours versus 40 minutes. That's a big different.
I guess it all depends though. 4 hours might go really quickly for people. You never know, right? It could go slow, but I mean, listen, there's lots of movies that are 90 minutes that just drag on.
What else is a 4 hour cut? So Gordon said, don't dare compare anything to Braveheart. He said that earlier in the chat. But what other movie hits this mark? Do the Lord of the Rings extended cuts hit 4 hours each? They do. Yep. Okay, that's crazy.
Yeah, the extended cuts do. Some of them, I think it's 4 minutes and 4 hours and 9 minutes, 4 hours and 12 minutes. Yeah, so they're just around that 4 or 4:10 mark. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I feel like that does not become your kind of like Friday night, let's watch Lord of the Rings extended cut. It's kind of like, oh, on the Christmas holiday, when we're not going anywhere, we're gonna watch the Lord of the Rings cut. So that might be the mentality when you hear about a 4-hour Snyder cut coming up. And like,
Yeah.
yeah, well, what's the equivalent to timing in WandaVision? Like, how much time did WandaVision add up to? Did it add up to the
6 hours. I think,
6
right?
hours, or is it a little
Yeah.
shorter?
Well,
Like,
I don't know.
know.
I didn't do the math. I think it was
Yeah,
about
yeah,
six.
that'd be like saying, hey, would you watch WandaVision in one shot, or are you gonna watch an episode of something else?
Yeah.
It might just be a tough thing. So if they had kept their original formula where they were gonna break it into 4 1-hour episodes,
Yeah.
or something like that, that would have been an interesting discussion.
Well, yeah.
Andreas is gonna watch it all in one go, regardless. So I
Yeah,
look forward to hearing what you think of it, Andreas.
I think I will as well. I got to work at the time. I will likely, you know what it is? For me, this is crazy. Now I will have to go dark on social media for a few days because, I'll watch Winter Soldier and Falcon with my son when he gets home from school on Friday. I don't think I can fit it in Thursday night with him. And so the only thing I can think of is Saturday when my daughter's off a dance class she actually dances for 4.5 hours. That's the time we could probably sit and watch it. But I don't know. I mean, maybe we break it up. Maybe I watch half of it with him and then keep watching it on my own that night. I don't know. And then be like, of course I didn't keep watching it. I'm waiting for you, bud. Although now saying that, this is proof that I would have lied. So I don't know. I'm going to be really hard pressed to not watch it on Thursday. Some of it at least.
I'm very shocked that you didn't call and get the day off, but well, it's gonna be late night for you, so I'm gonna be sure to check my messages and see if you're already on sleepy time mode. If you're not, then I'm gonna be like, oh, yo, he did it. He's staying up all night to watch Snyder Cut, and he's gonna have a rough Friday.
Thank God you work from home. So yeah, man, that's it. I'm excited for it. It's Thursday. It is on for our friends in the US like Scott. It's on HBO Max. It is on Crave. You have to have the Crave plus HBO subscription in Canada. I mentioned this yesterday just to clarify. If you watch Crave, if you watch TV through an Apple TV, an Amazon Fire Stick, or a Google Chromecast, that's how you actually watch your TV and consume it, and you have the Crave app, you will have access to the show on Thursday sometime. If you watch Crave strictly through your Bell 5 box or your Rogers, whatever the Rogers equivalent is, you won't be able to access the movie through the Crave on demand until Saturday. So just be aware.
Yeah, and it's weird that they're keeping all this kind of stuff like foggy, like time of release and all that kind of stuff. It was up. We know it was up. Some people watched up to an hour of it when they were trying to get Tom and Jerry. So it's on their servers or whatever. So I think that's all we got for our Justice League recap rewatch.
Sorry, Fraser. The only way is to get it is through Crave. They have the agreement with Warner and WB. So maybe it'll hit iTunes or Google Play Store in a month or so, but it won't be, as far as I know. And that's it. So yeah, John, thanks, man. I hope everybody, first of all, I hope everybody really enjoyed these last 3 weeks of rewatching these movies. I hope at the end of it.
I know you did. I definitely, I'm happy with it. I'm happy that I actually rewatched all these before.
It's a lot of fun.
In anticipation to this event. So I don't know how many hours that adds up to. We keep going to math here. I feel like I should be writing it all down, so we can do it on the fly. So look, my daughter fell asleep during this. She's been waiting this whole time. You want to? Hey, you want your cue?
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
And she's gonna fall asleep. So I don't think there's anything left to say other than we'll see you guys next week. There's a ton of content, so I think it's gonna be fun. I can't wait to hear what you guys think. So if you guys have time to get this in, so the podcast on Sunday is probably going to be Snyder Cut reaction review, as well as Winter Soldier.
We'll do a separate one.
I keep calling it Winter Soldier for some reason. It's the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
It's no surprise that you mess up people's names and show.
Hey, it's not the people's name. There's a movie called The Winter Soldier, right? or is it called Captain America: The Winter Soldier? Anyway,
Such an idiot.
but we'll be covering that, and then
I love
on Monday we'll be here to do basically a wrap up, whatever you guys want to discuss. We're trying to see what we want to do with the format and see if there's any kind of maybe games or things we can.
Yeah, we're just gonna have fun. So if you get a chance, like as John said, if you get a chance to watch it, we're gonna chat about it. We're gonna deep dive in on the main podcast, and on next Monday, it's your show, guys and girls. So let us know the stuff you want to talk about. Maybe that's what we'll do, John. We'll turn it to them. They can put in their comments, and we can answer, and we can have the discussions because it's just about the fun, right? So,
yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, lose to say, let's just end this before I mess up any more names and titles. So thank you very much, everybody. We will see you guys soon. Get out of here with your Remo Williams. I think after Scott, I think we're actually going to have to do I'm cooking up another idea. So after our 80s bracket, we're gonna do some fun stuff. So anyways, thank you very much, folks.
Thanks, everybody. Hope you had fun. Thanks so much for watching.